back to Thalias Cakes, and today we're making
a giant gravity-defying cotton candy ice cream cone cake. If you're new here, you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm always sharing fun and exciting cake tutorials and mouth-watering desserts.
Before we begin, I would like to mention that this video is a collaboration with Chairty from The Lovely Baker. She also made an ice cream themed cake, so go check hers out at the end of this video. And you'll be able to find the link to her video down in the description box.
To make this cake gravity defying, I knew I needed some good support. So I built myself something sturdy enough to hold up the cake. I got myself some plywood, particle board, a wooden dowel, and some screws.
I got all my wooden supplies from Home Depot. But in case you're not into building and doing all that kind of stuff, you can always just use a heavy baseboard, a threaded rod, bolts, washers, and nuts.
I need to make a hole in the center of this plywood. So before doing that, I used a ruler to measure where the center would be and then marked it with a pencil. Now I'm ready to build. Using a 3/4 inch spade drill, I'm going to make a hole so that my dowel can fit in perfectly. And this also makes it a lot easier for the screw to pass through the plywood. Make sure while doing this, you hold the drill straight up. With the 1/2 inch spade, you're going to make a hole on both ends of the dowel. Now I can screw the plywood and dowel together. I went ahead and made a little hole to the particle board and also screwed that onto the dowel.
The key to being stress-free while cake decorating is to have everything prepped. So I moved on to baking my cake so that I could have it ready for the next day.
Before placing my batter into the oven, I wanted to make it fun and mix some pretty cotton candy colors with some food gel into the batter. I used my 6-inch ball pan to bake my cake for the ice cream scoops. To swirl the batter, I used a toothpick. Now let's go back to the cake supporter thing that I built. Before I can put any food onto the supporter, I need to make this food safe by using aluminum tape, which is just like aluminum foil, but in a tape form. I stuck this all over the dowel and a little bit on the bottom of the plywood. Once I had that nice and secured, then I wrapped the top with aluminum foil. Then I added more tape to hold down the foil. So instead of using cake to form the cone, I'm going to use Rice Krispies. So I melted some marshmallows to spread it all over the dowel and right underneath the particle board, so that way the rice cereal would stick on.
Now I can move on to building the giant cone.
Before grabbing the rice cereal mix, I rubbed shortening all over my hands to avoid a sticky mess. And now I can start from the bottom up, pressing in hard together to mold it into a cone. Once I was happy with the shape, I used my serrated knife to trim off some of the bottom to make it more pointy. I can now wrap this up in plastic wrap and place it right into the refrigerator overnight so it hardens and it holds its shape. I'm going to use chocolate ganache to cover the cone. If you would like the recipe for the ganache, click here at the eye and it will take you straight to the video. It's super easy to make. Now that the cone is fully covered in ganache, I'm going to use my bench scraper to smooth out as much as possible so that the little bumps don't show underneath the fondant. I also used a little piece of aluminum flashing to smooth out the smaller areas where I needed it. It's always important to know the circumference of your cake before applying the fondant so that way you know exactly how much you need to roll out. Before rolling out the fondant, you want to place down shortening and cornstarch to avoid the fondant from sticking to the surface.
Let's get scratching.
To apply the fondant onto the cone, I use my rolling pin to help me pick it up and then quickly wrap it around the cone.
I'm gonna be honest with you, it took me like 5 different tries to figure out how I was going to place the fondant onto the cone. I make the mistakes so that you guys don't have to go through them.
With an X-Acto knife, I trimmed off the excess fondant from the top and bottom. As we all know, cones all have a lot of strips. So to make my life easier, I'm going to use my number 2 strip cutter. To place on the strips, I brush water onto the cone and I place them on diagonally. I let it dry overnight, then began to place on the other strips the next morning. To apply the strips on top, I flipped over the strip and brushed on water onto it. Then I stuck it on and wrapped it around the cone.
Just curious, when you go out to get ice cream, which cone do you prefer to get? The waffle cone, the sugar cone, the cake cone, or the waffle bowl? Leave a comment down below. I'm more of a waffle cone, but also when I go to McDonald's and I order a vanilla cone and I reach to that very end of that cake cone, it's just something about that last bite.
With some water, I'm going to apply the lip of the cone.
By the way, if you guys are interested in any of the items that I've been using throughout this video, I will be leaving all the links down below in the description box. Just in case you need to do a little cake artist spree shopping.
Now it's time to bring some life to this plywood. I'm going to apply the sprinkles onto the board. To get the sprinkles to stick onto the plywood, I brushed on gum paste glue all over. Once that was set, I poured sprinkles all over the board and gently spread them out. Then I took it over to the sink and shook off all the loose sprinkles. I used pink ribbon to cover the border of the plywood and used a hot glue gun to glue the corners. Finally, now we can get started on the cake. With my serrated knife, I'm going to level out both cakes. And then simple syrup all the cake layers. This is so your cake stays nice and moist.
Now I can begin to fill and stack my cake.
I really wanted to use cotton candy extract to make it taste more like cotton candy, but I couldn't find it anywhere in the stores, so I just ended up using actual cotton candy. But I do recommend using the extract if you really want it to taste like cotton candy. Now I can give both cakes a crumb coat and pop them into the refrigerator for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I took out one of the cake ice cream scoops, covered it in plastic wrap, and then placed it back into the cake pan because I wanted to cut out some of the cake from the bottom, so that way this could sit perfectly onto the bottom cake scoop when I stack it. And here I used a spoon to carefully scoop out the hole. With the same exact colors that I used to color my cake batter, I used to color my buttercream. I'm placing down my final coat. First, I'm going to place down some of the blue and then some of the pink kind of on top and on the side, and then a little bit of purple on top of both. And this is how I was able to blend all three colors together, and I did that exact thing all around both scoops. Before placing my scoops onto the cone, I'm placing some buttercream to help the cake layer stay in place. To pick this up, I'm carefully using my offset spatula and my cake lifter. Yeah, that was a close one. Now that my top scoop is on, I can go around and cut off the edges at a slight angle and give it a little crumb coat. I did this also to give it more of a realistic look. Once that's set, I can now add on the ruffles that an ice cream scoop normally has using pink, little bit of purple, and blue. And I lightly just smear that on both scoops all around.
So, since we're talking about ice cream, a while back when I used to live in Pennsylvania, I got a job at an ice cream shop. It was the best 5 days of my life. Yo girl got fired. Wanna know why I got fired? On my 5th day of work, the boss, which I thought was a sweet older lady, she was trying to show me how to make a pretzel pizza cone thing. I don't know, they sold food there too. And she showed me how to make it once. So I just started doing my thing, and in the middle of that, she had to get up and leave to go help a customer. So I did it, and I think I did pretty good, so I was pretty happy to show her. Girl, that sweet little lady that I thought she was just had turned into the Exorcist. And let me tell you, she was not happy at all with that pizza cone. She grabbed my plate, threw it on the counter. I mean, this old lady went Gordon Ramsay on me. So she was like, "This is overcooked! The pizza cone! Those pizza cones are so expensive!" So you know what I did? I bit my tongue, took 2 steps back, and did a quick prayer to God, asking him to give me the strength. You know me, Lord. You know I'm not the one. This lady don't know I'm not the one. I am not the one. And that pretty much just settled everything. But of course, I kept in mind she's an elder, and I always respect my elders. Did not curse, no need for that. She went back to her normal sweet self. She was fine, I was fine, you know. We said, you know what? Let's hash things out. You good? I'm good? All right, we good. See you next time. And then I received a voicemail from her saying I was fired. I was like, what happened? And she said, just throw out the shirt if I wanted, and she would mail me my check. This lady did not want to see me after that. I think I scared grandma. I didn't mean to, but she chose the wrong one. And I don't want you guys to think I'm this crazy ghetto person. I'm not. So yeah, that's my story. Now let's get back to this video.
With my leftover ganache, I piped on chocolate drips on top to make it look like hot fudge. I don't know about you, but I never eat ice cream without whipped cream. So to resemble the whipped cream, I'm using buttercream. Then I added sprinkles all over the top. And lastly, even though I hate maraschino cherries, I made myself one so that I can put it on top and complete the cone. To glue the stem onto the cherry, I use gum paste glue. And there you have it, a giant gravity-defying cotton candy ice cream cone cake. To be honest with you, I really hate cotton candy ice cream. I think it's too sweet. But it's summer and the colors are beautiful, so I said, why not? I'm more of a Oreo cookie dough type of girl. By the way, I would love to see your recreations of any cakes that I've made in the past. Please tag me on my social media.
I hope you enjoyed watching that video. Please share it with others on your social media or even just anybody that you know that will enjoy it. Please don't forget to go check out Charity's part of her collaboration over at The Lovely Baker. And most importantly, click that circle button right over here to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.